Hello, my MMA true believers. I am Jason Burgos for Sherdog.com, and I am joined by a multi-time Judo national champion, LFA veteran, and
And
a woman, and a
sorry.
woman who will have a chance at scoring a UFC contract on the Week 8 edition of Dana White's Contender Series. The person facing off with Gloria DePaulo is the one dubbed by her parents as Pita, aka Pauline Macias. Madam Pita, thanks for the time today.
Oh,
Now,
thanks for
not
having me.
getting those valuable cage minutes, it can be detrimental, but I have always been told by fighters that the time that a lot of them really grow the most, add the most depth to their skill set and stuff like that, is the time in between fights when they're really just focusing on themselves and not an opponent. Are there specific areas you believe you've really like kind of turned a corner in a big way since that last fight in February?
Yeah, that last fight, I was really, really new to Factory X. I mean, I had only been there like 5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was just a lot going on, and I wanted that fight to work on so many things, and it just, it didn't go like I had planned. And I'm glad I got that one out of the way because in judo, when I had a fight like that, I would be like, oh, okay, I know what I did wrong. I'm coming back, and I'm gonna just kill it, and I know that's what I'm gonna do. And
And I'm glad you brought up Factor X because we talked about that and also and stuff like that and joining them, having just recently joined them, having been there now quite a while, since that conversation, even more months, being surrounded by so much talent. How has the experience kind of altered how you look at this sport as a professional? Because you have people like Brandon Royval, Youssef Zalal, who have exploded onto the scene this year in the UFC.
yeah.
How has working with fighters like that daily and the great coaches there changed how you think about this sport, how you view this sport, how you go about doing this sport compared to like when you were at previous gyms in your early career?
You know, uh, the one thing I can say, I mean, and I think it shows if you just look at all my teammates, their wins and whatnot, and their losses, but like it really shows like their MMA IQ, and I think that's one thing that I have improved on immensely, which for me is a big thing because in judo I really understood judo. I knew it like the back of my
Right.
hand. You know what I mean? Now,
Yeah.
now MMA, it's like all of a sudden like you said, I've had time off just with the team to work on things, I can't even express like how much my MMA IQ has just skyrocketed.
Do you feel that's the growth in your IQ? Is it just putting in the time and the repetition and everything, or do you feel that working with these specific people, because Factory X has become such a major camp and gym in the sport, working with these specific fighters, these specific coaches, do you feel like they've said things, advised you on certain things that may have unlocked the process maybe a little faster, or do you just think it's logging those experience minutes?
I think it's a little bit of both. We have such a great coaching staff there, and they're all on the same page. They are all in communication all the time. They all know exactly what's going on with every athlete at every time. I mean, they all have notes on every single athlete, and every coach kind of says something. Maybe one person understood it this way, another person understood it this way, and another person understood it this way. It's all the same thing, but three different coaches said it three different ways. And so that's one thing that I think really, like, our coaching staff is just incredible. I can't say speak highly enough of them. And then you also have everyone on the team. I mean, a lot of those guys have been there for a really long time. And sometimes if I'm not sure about something, I'll just grab somebody and be like, hey, this, and this, what do and they're like, oh, this. And then all of a sudden your teammate's showing, like, allowing you to understand it. So I really think the camaraderie and just, gosh, I think the dedication, I mean, it takes a lot to be on the team. Mark Montoya isn't going to let just anybody walk into the gym and just train. He really requires a lot. And the people that are there are very serious. So that really just, I mean, I think that steps the game up immensely. And now, I mean, people are seeing results. Our results are really, I mean, good God, look at Brandon Royval's year.
Yeah.
Like, not even a whole year. I think he's only been in the UFC for like a few months,
Yeah.
really. And it's unreal. And I think that's what's really going to show. I think the time everybody's had to grow has really I mean, at least for me, it's helped me
Evolving
immensely.
as a fighter is extremely important. We're talking about it now, but you entered this sport with a serious judo background. There have been fighters that enter this sport and kind of will get away from their styles that really brought them to the dance in the first place, and that unique advantage that they maybe have of being someone that's been doing it since they were a kid and training, and that, you know, that muscle memory, because they fall in love with another aspect of the sport. Often they fall in love with the striking and stuff like that. Is there like a specific effort by you and your coaches to mold your skills around your judo and make transitioning to use that advantage in a fight just an easier process and grab on people and work what you're so expert level at? Or are you out to be as well-rounded a pure mixed martial artist as possible and not a judo based player?
You know, that question, obviously, like, as I continue to learn more about the sport, I fall in love with more aspects of the sport, especially now that I'm really understanding so much more about the sport. You know, there's obviously, I want to learn a lot about that. I really take, me personally, I don't know about other people, but me personally, I'm a judo player. Judo got me there. Everything I'm learning, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still wrestle, I still jiu-jitsu, I do everything, you know, because we have to. And so I know how all these people are going to react and whatnot with those specific sports. What I really, like, it's kind of hard to explain, but I like to very, very much remind myself all the time that I'm a judo player. Okay. I take the tools that I've learned, put them in my toolbox, you know, and I just keep filling up that box and filling up that box, because one day, you know, I may need that tool that isn't a judo move. You know, it's not a judo throw. It's not a judo submission or anything like that. So, and, you know, in my judo career, even growing up as a kid, I feel like I remember that. Sometimes I was like, oh, I don't know when I'm ever going to do this throw. I don't like this throw. You know, and you know what? 5 years later, that one throw that I said I would never do, it happened in a tournament. And so, yeah, that's kind of how me personally go about that. I learn everything, like, obviously, I'm a judo player. I'm going to do judo because nobody there can even compete with my judo. Yeah. You know, why would Khabib go and just try to outstrike someone that's a striker when he could just wrestle them? You know what I mean? And so I just really remind myself constantly of who I am, where I came from, and I take all those new tools that I get and make my toolbox bigger and bigger and bigger, and then I just, you know, I keep them in my back pocket for that one day that I know I'm going to need it.
And that's good to hear, because there are so many fighters that kind of just forget that, and they were a great wrestler, and they just want to become a striker, and it affects their career poorly. So I'm glad to hear that. Now, when we talked last time, you explained how you felt you thrived under pressure, and this will certainly be a high pressure situation in a week. But how have you prepared for what is going to be the biggest moment of your career, a young career so far? Has there been a lot of reaching out to teammates or friends who have been on the show to get advice? Is it just purely visualization? I know a lot of fighters like to do that. Or are you just freaking excited and can't stand waiting anymore?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. However, you know, I have to be honest, like, I've been training my whole life for this. I just see how even other sports that I did, I mean, like you won't believe how much cheerleading has helped me in MMA, how much gymnastics has helped me in MMA, you know, and I compete at high levels in all of these sports, and of course judo, you know, my career there. But yeah, I really truly believe that I've been preparing my whole life for this, and things are just really coming together, and it's time to just go. And oh my gosh, how can you not be excited? This is like things people write movies about, that one shot, one opportunity, you know? It's like, this is amazing. Of course it's nerve-wracking. Everybody has nerves. If I didn't have nerves, I'd be really concerned, because then that's probably going to be a bad day. But I thrive off of that. Like I said, that pressure, I love it. Like when Dana White came to my pro debut to film Looking for a Fight, it was like, I love that. I needed that, and I submitted the girl in the first round. You know, it's like, I love that. I don't know. It's just something that works for me, so.
Tell me about how gymnastics and cheerleading help you, because people don't give either the credit it deserves for the athleticism. And I get the gymnastic ends and how that can be transitioned to MMA. How does the cheerleading, how has that been helpful in your transition to MMA?
Yeah, well, cheerleading, you know, at the highest level, cheerleaders are gymnasts. You know what I mean? Let's not forget that. I think people have no idea how much cheerleading has evolved. I mean, some of these cheerleaders are doing bigger, like, tumbling passes than some of these, like, high-level Olympians, collegiate gymnasts. For me, personally, as far as cheerleading goes, you know, I competed my whole life. I was, like, on these national sports channels growing up, on these really high-level competitions. I love when they call our name and it's time to go out there, and it's like something about me running on the mat, those cameras being stuck right in your face, and those lights on you. You can't even see the crowd because the lights are there. And it's like something in like my mind just clicks. It's like, oh, it's go time. Okay. And that was very terrific, actually. No, but really, I love that. Like, I know people who have literally are ready for their first fight, and they're coming out, all of a sudden the camera's like, whoop, right in their face, and it's like, for me, I'm like, oh, camera's in my face, it's time for me to perform. And that is, and then of course cheerleading, I mean, like, you have to be so strong. People have no idea. The tumbling passes I've done, elite, only elite gymnasts can do. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. And not only with gymnastics, I have like really, really, really good air sense. I know where I'm at, upside down, spinning everywhere. Okay. So at any point in MMA, I know my balance is incredible. I've been able to do a backflip on a 4-inch beam. You know what I mean? And when it comes to cheerleading, these guys and girls were throwing me up in the air, like, several stories up, and I had to, like, with that too, there's a trust. I have to trust that those people below me are going to grab me and catch me, and I have to put on the skill, and I have to perform, and I have to be able to show the crowd that I'm excited and I'm ready and I'm determined and I'm going to do this, and I make it exciting. At the same time, I'm like, these people better catch me down there, but like, it's a trust, and I think that's something we have on the team, like people like Mark. I mean, like I said, he said no one will ever work harder than him, and it's true, and I trust him in that, and I know he trusts me for my work ethic, and so.
I've learned talking to fighters there that are, it was when you're so early in the career like you and Gloria are, it's kind of like scouting and video work. It's not as effective as, somebody that's 20 fights in, 30 fights in, whether you have a lot of a tendency and stuff like that. But that said, are there certain elements of her game that you have been specifically preparing for? Of course, you're both constantly evolving, progressing fast, so there's always going to be changes from fight to fight. But are there things you and the team feel, okay, yeah, this is an area she is good at, this is a danger spot, let's specifically prepare for that, along with being the best version of yourself you can be for her?
For me, I don't like to watch film. I don't. If I go and watch film, then I won't even, like, I'll think about what my opponent's going to do and not what I'm going to do. This is my,
I've heard that.
I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do my game. I just barely watched film recently. And now, prior to, my coaches, we have our coaching staff gets opponent. They watch every single fight on them. They make a whole analysis. They do. I mean, they have and so, like I said, that trust thing. I trust them to go, like, do everything that, like, do their job, and they trust me to do my job. And I mean, of course, like, I think the coaches do a lot of it without us knowing too. Like, they know that things my opponent's gonna do. So for some reason that day at practice we drilled this, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the same time, it's my game. I'm going out there and gonna do my fight, and I'm concentrating on me and what I do. And I've been competing my whole life, and with judo, it's not like you knew what. Sometimes in judo, you were lucky if you knew if your opponent was right or left-handed. You know what I mean? So a lot of it is reaction. A lot of it is, setting things up. And I just am really concentrating on myself, honestly, more than anything.
Fair enough. On the flip side, is it simply the strategy for you towards her? Is it just your extremely high-level judo and grappling? This is just going to be a really difficult thing for her to deal with? Or is it much more to it than that? Is, this time you haven't been fighting, we're talking about growth, we're talking about evolution, changing and learning and more. Should we be expecting a much different fighter than the fighter we saw in February?
Absolutely. 100%. And it's not only that. I think because my MMA IQ has increased so much, I just really understand a lot more. Like, I just really understand everything. I understand the cage. I understand this and that. And then what I do is I bring my flair into it. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks judo is just like a hip throw, that's judo. There are thousands and thousands of throws in judo. You think I only know one or two? I didn't compete around this whole world for 20 years to only learn a couple throws. You know what I mean? It's I do things against the cage. I do things like in grappling. I do things that people have just never seen. I always do what people don't expect because I'm not the traditional wrestler or jiu-jitsu player. And I think that's one thing that sets me apart is I'm very unorthodox. Like, just my teammates say I'm just very hard to read. Like, they don't know what I'm doing. I don't react like every other person would react. And so for some people, I may do something and they think they're reacting accordingly, but actually I'm setting them up to do this, this, and this. You know what I mean? So